Here we go on another episode of Pivotal Change. Welcome, everyone, to the TV show that is about leadership, businesses, entrepreneurs, and everybody looking to make that pivotal change that makes them a little more influential and a lot more successful. I've got a couple of special guests on the show today, and I want to welcome our very first one, Will Klusovsky. He is a cybersecurity business advisor, and compared to me, he is in the world of expertise in IT, all kinds of technology. And we're going to have a really great conversation starting off with him. So, Will, welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to get to chat about some stuff.
Oh, very good. Well, we've been looking at some of your material, and one of the things that I really want to know about you is you do something that is called business road mapping. And some people may or may not be familiar with that. So, break it down for us, please. What is business road mapping and who should be doing it?
I mean, effectively, everybody should, regardless of the business you're in. Essentially, it goes through and take a look at everything that your business is doing from end to end. So everything from your P&L to the way you're marketing, doing sales, training sales, managing clients, customer interactions, all of that stuff that comprehensively gets to your EBITDA, your bottom line at the end of the day. Taking a look at all of that and then figuring out where you really could be spending more time, could be doing some improvements. And then ideally, you would have something that gives you, 12, 18 months to look out for and kind of have a plan for action there.
I love that. So, big time, it's the overall scope of the company and digging down into it and learning into some of the information technology side, the cybersecurity side of that model that's basically leaning into technology to make yourself more successful. Can you elaborate a little bit more for us on what is a well structured business roadmap? How does it facilitate strategic alignment so that the organization can really drive and be transformative?
Yeah, it's about taking, when I go through these most of the time, there's a couple of things you need to align. You've got your clients profile to begin with, like who are your ideal clients, who are you serving? A lot of times organizations think it's one thing and may not be another. So we take a good hard look at that. And then that helps to communicate to the business, okay, well, how do I need to be engaging with these clients? So that addresses the marketing side of the house, how you're going to conduct sales, what types of work you should be doing, which then leads into what is your product roadmap. So whether you're a technology company or a services company, you'll have some type of roadmap that says, here's what I'm doing today. Here's what my clients are looking at doing in the next 1 to 3 years. So I also need to be prepared to do that. So that kind of gets into, another roadmap within a roadmap, right? Of understanding all that. And so all of that kind of combined is what gives you that potential output to be able to say, okay, here's where I know it helps you understand where you're going to spend your money so that you can get the most out of it. And that way you can grow more effectively.
I like that. You said so much and you contained a lot of information, really valuable information in that well articulated response. So let me see if I can paraphrase some of that back. Getting a little more elaborate with the road mapping, it's basically if you can articulate and write down the problem, there's a famous quote that says it's half solved. You're taking that second half of literally drawing action plans, road maps with destinations and point and check marks for what we should be doing with various systems or various areas inside of the business. And like you said a little bit earlier, you were chasing after increase of the EBITDA, that bottom line, and the higher value, higher production for the company. So I really like that. And then you're adjusting strategies based on the roadmap and where it takes you. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of comes down to a lot of times the most organizations will find one or two things happen. They make X amount of dollars every year, and if they can just continue doing that, even with normal client attrition and new clients, they can kind of maintain status quo. So you kind of look at this, you look at this plan as saying, okay, well, I need to punch up, or I need to grow bigger, or I need to change my market, or whatever it may be. I just want to make more money or grow bigger. So that kind of helps facilitate all of that as well.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I really appreciate what you said earlier, too, about helping carve out what your ideal client is, your client persona, because I think that helps you draw the image of where that roadmap should go and who you should service. So let's say you have a good understanding of your ideal client, your systems, and your workflow, but let's say there's some change in the market. How does road mapping help you adjust or anticipate market trends so that the strategy can be adapted and it's all proactive and productive and beneficial?
For sure. So that kind of goes in, that ties into a lot of things. Again, it really fits into what we in the industry call product management. Again, whether it's a service or a technology, and anticipating what those future client needs are going to be. Because part of that organization or whoever it may be doing that's doing that planning, they should be talking to your clientele. You all should be getting market data and information from analysts, whether you're consuming that on your own or whether you actually have relationships with them. Different size organizations, different size capabilities around there. Uh, so, if you don't have a plan, you tend to just kind of be reactive to whatever tends to happen. And then usually by the time something's in the news or somebody's asking you, hey, do you guys do this? You can't always say yes. So that's really how it facilitates you being prepared.
I really like that. Being able to have somebody call and say, "Hey, do you do this inside of your industry or your wheelhouse?" And always being able to say yes, because we're using the roadmap to understand the market and drive our products into the most future-based, productive way possible. I like that a lot. So,
And also, I
when you,
will add to that
yes,
too. There's a side of that which is that ideal client profile, because it's quite okay for somebody to say, "Hey, do you do this?" and go, "No." Like that's not where we play. That's not how we make our money. That may not be the words you use when talking to the client, but being able to commit to that ICP, again, provides you a lot of value. It's going to help you be more successful staying in that market and working in that market.
I like that. I really appreciate what you said about, do you do that? No, I don't. Here's my wheelhouse. I think too oftentimes we feel like we have to be all things to all people, and then we're an expert and have no niche, and therefore we have no way to really drive forward and stand out. So, in doing that, kind of getting with that roadmap, obviously, whatever service or content you're doing is going to be really important to driving that forward. You help people with content development. So, how does having a strategy for content development contribute to this? How does it give you emphasis on thought leadership or just influencing customer engagement, and especially in today's digital landscape?
It's critically important and something that I see most organizations do wrong, at least especially early on in their stages, because everybody's an expert at what they do, and you're very excited to talk about the things that you do. And so, hey, look at my blinky lights. Look at this cool thing that I can do. That's not how we buy and consume things. We buy and consume things based on what's in it for me, right? So a lot of that is about being able to position what you do in a manner that reflects on your clients. So that's where I help a lot because I have a lot of that experience in the technical side. I understand the technology, I understand the marketing, I understand the sales and the delivery aspects. So it's very easy for me to kind of say, look, you're doing this thing here, which is great. What that means to a CISO, to a CIO, to a CFO is this. This is how you want to communicate that out. And then there's some other nuances that get into some of the marketing stuff, like how you write your copy, how you present it, some of the normal marketing sort of things that exist in there. But having a good, strong understanding of that, and then being able to put the content together so that it's actually consumed, used, and valuable to your client base or your potential client base, that's key.
Having it actually consumed, used, and viable. I love that. And then again, pointing it at what problem does this solve or how does it help me, quote, from the customer's perspective. I think that's just a wonderful foundation to place underneath everything that you said. So let me throw this at you as well. What role does the content development play in shaping organizational culture? So you're developing inside. How does it really affect internal communication among the teams?
I think it's pretty pivotal. You'll see organizations where the technology people understand the value in translating their very complex information into something consumable to the marketing or the lay person. And then also being able to understand how the salespeople need to take and use that. That's one of the biggest challenges that I see are technical people are very technical and very good at it. They may not necessarily be able to communicate to the salespeople because it has to be much more condensed. It has to drive that what's in it for me value. And the salespeople are working on a different sort of platform and flow than the technical people are. So having that content is really critical to your sales enablement process, to your demand generation process, your lead generation. If you're doing any kind of outbound calling, cold calling, it's multiple aspects you have to deal with, where creating demand and visibility of your brand and company, but also how do you go out, get, and close business? And without that content in the language of the people that you need to consume it, you're going to have problems. And if everybody kind of agrees that, hey, this is a good thing to do, then you can get the time from those technical people to work with the marketing folks, to the technical people to work with the sales teams, or you have a role where there's somebody like me who can translate and kind of do all of that stuff internally and manage that.
I really love that. I think that was truly a beautiful answer, and it goes down into some deep things that we've talked about on other episodes about how valuable communication styles are. And I really want to highlight how you were talking about the difference between your example of a sales team and a technical team. And the sales team may say, "Hey, we need something to help us with our sales, but we need you to build it out. We don't know how to tell you how to do that, but here's what we need." And the technical team takes their language to communicate amongst themselves and build out something, and then it translates back to the sales team in their language as a useful product to move the company forward. So that's a huge highlight, and I think content development externally towards the client and internally for use is pretty amazing. So this is actually a good spot for me to jump in right here and roll a commercial break. We're going to be right back on Pivotal Change with more of Will and all of his wisdom. So everyone sit right tight, sit right there nice and tight. We're going to be back with more conversations and really driving forward on how to go to market and have strategies and really advance your business through services with what Will is offering. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.